One of the most frequently cited violations of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, or FMCSRs, is Section 382.301, DOT Pre-Employment Drug Testing. According to the regulations, drivers who are hired in a safety-sensitive function are required to have a DOT pre-employment drug screen. Safety-sensitive function, in simplest of terms, is when someone is hired to operate a commercial motor vehicle, or CMV. A CMV, as defined in Section 382.107, is a vehicle weighing over 26,000 pounds or hauling placarded amounts of hazmat in any size of vehicle. A driver could include a full-time, part-time, temporary, or occasional driver. Occasional drivers might include mechanics, managers, and dispatchers who fill in or test drive CMVs. The motor carrier cannot use a driver in a safety-sensitive function for the first time until they receive a verified negative result on a DOT pre-employment drug test. If a driver has a break in employment with your carrier for over 30 days and is removed from your DOT testing program, the driver also needs a pre-employment drug screen. A word of caution: a drug test following a leave of absence or layoff is not a return-to-duty test as many have thought. It's a pre-employment test. A return-to-duty test is when a driver has committed a DOT drug or alcohol violation. Carriers may utilize the pre-employment exception if certain conditions are met. The driver needs to have participated in a DOT drug testing program within the previous 30 days. While participating in the program, the driver must have either tested for controlled substances in the previous 6 months or participated in a random drug testing program for the previous 12 months. The carrier must also ensure, by contacting previous employers, that the driver does not have a record of DOT drug and alcohol violations in the previous 6 months. The carrier cannot utilize the driver for the first time until all the documentation for this exception is received. This could be time-consuming if you need the driver right away. Carriers need to weigh the immediate need for the driver against the money saved by not testing. If a driver applicant is not hired, the test must be retained according to Section 382.401. A negative test result must be kept for at least 1 year. A positive, adulterated, or substituted result, or a record of a refusal to be tested, at least 5 years. If the driver is not hired and placed in your random program within 30 days of the test, you would have to retest the driver or obtain documentation that he or she meets the exception, if hired at a later date. If the driver tests positive, no amount of time will exonerate the driver of the consequences. Many carriers have mistakenly thought that they can retest a driver after a certain amount of time to get a clean result and pretend the first pre-employment test never happened. Technically, a driver who tests positive on any kind of DOT required test cannot work for any carrier until the return to duty process is complete.